Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and I've got another detailed forecast update coming at you your way for the 25th of October 2025, your Saturday morning update in regards to the severe thunderstorm potential across southeast and central Queensland this weekend. We'll also be diving into the details on thunderstorms expected through northern Queensland and that low pressure system that is meandering offshore from Western Australia, plus a whole lot more coming up in today's weather forecast update. So if you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing, but let's get stuck straight into things with the storm situation over in southeast Queensland. Now, it is going to be a stormy weekend. There's lots of thunderstorms on the forecast, some of which could be severe and quite strong, so we need to really hammer home the details in this forecast update. I'm going to start off with the details for today, Saturday, and then the details for tomorrow will come up a few minutes later, and particularly around the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area, tomorrow is the day to watch. Anyways, for today, we are looking at the chances of some decent thunderstorms across the central Queensland coastline, particularly north of the Fraser Coast and up into the Capricorn region. We may be looking at some severe thunderstorm chances once again throughout this afternoon into this evening. It's certainly going to get up there, the temperatures are going to get up there, and the chances are also looking to be pretty healthy for some severe thunderstorm activity through parts of the Capricorn coastline. Let's just dive straight into things with the convective forecast modelling. You can see some shower and thunderstorm activity expected to get itself going after about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. It will be quite isolated in nature, and we're expecting the more significant shower stuff to be located a little bit further inland out around Claremont or Emerald, and we may be seeing some isolated severe thunderstorm activity scattered within those locations as well, including damaging winds, potential for large hailstones, and also some isolated pockets of heavy rainfall. A lot of these thunderstorms look to be quite slow moving, which means heavy rainfall will be a substantial threat from them. These thunderstorms don't really get themselves going by the looks of things, at least on the convective forecast modelling here, but we may see a few very weak pulse thunderstorms between the Dingo down to the Billawheeler and even north of Eidsvold sort of area, most likely further inland from locations such as Rockhampton, Gladstone, Agnes Water and Bundaberg. All 4 of those places aren't expecting thunderstorm activity today. The chances are very remote at this point in time. Later in the evening around the Claremont and the Emerald area, we will likely see these thunderstorms upscale into a large squall system, and that will bring some much more heavy rainfall and some much more predictably widespread rainfall through the Claremont and the Emerald area, and we may see either location cop a significant amount of rainfall later tonight by the looks of things, but nothing too serious is on the forecast at this point in time. Today looks to be a rather tame day. There's going to be a lot of dry air in the environment, and it also just doesn't look like it gets hot enough for a few of these locations. Mid-30s is what we're expecting today, which is pretty stock standard, but for a big severe thunderstorm outbreak at this time of the year where the conditions are still pretty much on that knife edge 50-50, we want to be looking at temperatures 37 or 38 degrees Celsius close to the coastline, and it's just not going to get that hot today. And coupled with the dry air, we can't bank our activity, or we can't bank a thunderstorm forecast just on convective available potential energy values alone, which are there for these thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening, but CAPE isn't everything when looking at a thunderstorm forecast. The highest CAPE values are around that Emerald area, and it actually does look like Emerald may get hot enough. We're looking at temperatures pushing close to 38 or 39, and that's why we do have some pretty dense thunderstorm activity later this afternoon into the evening around the Claremont and the Emerald area. But again, nothing crazy expected today, and nothing expected for the Brisbane or the Gold Coast city areas. You can see this CAPE energy values beginning to build through Sunday morning, and these begin to skyrocket through early Sunday afternoon and ahead of the outbreak that we're expecting tomorrow afternoon on Sunday through southeast Queensland. So let's just dive straight into the details on that. Thunderstorms expected to begin to fire up around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon towards the west of Brisbane. Nothing too crazy is on the cards at this point in time. We're not looking at any kind of sea breeze catalyst moving through, which could present the risk of some massive thunderstorms blowing up through southeast Queensland, but we will definitely see some strong thunderstorm activity through parts of southeast Queensland, and this may turn into severe thunderstorm activity around the Ipswich and the Lowood area by around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, most likely getting out to about that 3 or even 4 o'clock time frame is when the severe thunderstorm chances do begin to increase. We'll also at around that same time see thunderstorms and clusters of pulse thunderstorms beginning to develop around the Injune, Roma and Taroom area, extending towards the northwest as far out as Tampa and Rolleston. It's going to be a very hot day out there as well, so conditions are going to be prime for some thunderstorm activity, and some strong stuff is most certainly possible in this part of Queensland as well. Now, the thing with tomorrow is there's a lot of moisture in the environment, and very moist environments generally mean high precipitation storm mode, so low cloud bases, lots of rainfall coming through, and that damaging wind threat as well being elevated above that hail risk. We will still likely see hailstones tomorrow. We could be seeing some thunderstorms, particularly earlier on in the afternoon, drop some large to potentially giant hailstones through parts of inland Queensland, and also just towards the west of Brisbane out towards Ipswich as mentioned. But tomorrow the main risk is going to be that heavy rainfall and damaging wind threat, and those thunderstorms upscale very, very quickly, and you can see pretty much an hour after they get going, we're already beginning to see these squall lines begin developing, and those squall lines are going to be those high precipitation storm modes that bring widespread much needed rainfall through pockets of southeastern and central Queensland, and also that damaging wind threat as well begins to get elevated once we start talking about squall lines. Those straight line damaging winds can well and truly get above 100 kilometres an hour. Unfortunately though, for Brisbane and the Gold Coast, we noticed this a few days ago, a trend with the forecast was pulling these thunderstorms towards the north, and even yesterday's forecast was very touch and go for the Brisbane city area. But it looks like you guys are going to miss the worst of these thunderstorms, and normally I would say that is a very good thing, particularly at this time of the year with the severe thunderstorm potential. But no, these are the thunderstorms we want to see into the Brisbane city area because they have those high precipitation storm modes. We could be seeing some heavy rainfall accumulations out of it. We could be talking about these thunderstorms here dropping 50 millimeters of rainfall in 30 minutes, which normally becomes a flash flooding concern, but considering how dry it is over in Southeast Queensland, realistically this is some much needed rainfall that was on the cards initially, and now for the Brisbane area, and especially for the Gold Coast, this rainfall looks to be pretty much completely a write-off now. It's just not going to come down to the Gold Coast or into the Gold Coast city area, but even for the Brisbane area, very touch and go on the forecast, and now kind of looking at that sort of go side of things, it doesn't look like these thunderstorms are going to make it into the Brisbane city area and will bypass the metro completely towards the northwest. The good news is that brings the rainfall up into the parched areas of the Capricorn coastline, and it means these thunderstorms by around 8 or 9 o'clock will actually be a little bit stronger by the time they get themselves out towards Bundaberg and Hervey Bay especially, but by extension up towards Gladstone and Agnes Water. We may see a couple of thunderstorms move through later on into the late evening hours around 9 or 10 o'clock up there, and that could again present the risk of some heavy rainfall accumulations in a place that really does need the rainfall. Tomorrow is looking like a big thunderstorm day. We're going to be talking about a lot of lightning as well, plenty of thunderstorm activity to go around, and like I said, some strong thunderstorm activity is possible towards the west of Brisbane and even up and towards the northwest as well into the late afternoon hours. We're talking between 2 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It looks like in a very similar way to where last weekend's outbreak kind of traversed through between Ipswich up towards the Samford Valley area and then around Caboolture and then up towards Maroochydore and along the Sunshine Coast. We may be seeing some strong thunderstorms in those exact same regions once again, just bypassing that Brisbane area slightly towards the northwest, and Brisbane not getting any of those late night squall activities that again will present the risk of some heavy rainfall accumulations, those instead bypassing up towards the north as we have just mentioned. But definitely a place to watch tomorrow will be in that Ipswich area up towards Gatton, Lowood, Kilcoy, Caboolture as well, and then into the Sunshine Coast around Maroochydore, Caloundra and even Bribie Island by extension. This pocket could be a location to watch for some severe thunderstorms and potentially some strong ones as well. Convective soundings aren't anything too flash. I mean, if we have a look at this, it is a pretty even environment. There's not an awful lot of wind shear. There is a bit of a dry slot in the environment around the mid-levels, around that 500 HPA range, but again, it isn't anything too crazy, and it also looks like we'll be starting the day off with some high-based storm modes, considering that the cloud base is expected to be quite high. We'll be looking at low precipitation storm modes initially because dew points are just not very favourable in the lower environment. So it's a pretty air forecast for this part of Queensland here. It's a pretty air forecast towards the west of Brisbane for severe thunderstorms, but it is also a chance, and that's what we need to be taking into consideration, that severe thunderstorms and potentially some strong ones are going to be possible towards the immediate west of Brisbane. And to be honest, the chance is better than what we had on Thursday, where that forecast of strong severe thunderstorms around the Kingaroy area just never eventuated because of extremely strong capping. One thing for sure though, lots of lightning, lots of rain, lots of thunder expected further inland to Roome, Chinchilla, those locations, and then around Wandoon and then out towards Roma, Injune, Mitchell, those sort of locations, very likely to cop a lot of thunder and lightning tomorrow, and also by extension some relatively decent rainfall accumulations as well. But it doesn't stop on Sunday. We have more thunderstorms on the forecast on Monday, and again potentially some strong thunderstorms along the Sunshine Coast. We have some really high convective available potential energy values getting themselves going along the Capricorn coastline. They'll by extension move down into the Sunshine Coast as well. Some of these values here approaching 3,000, which means if we do see thunderstorms developing in this environment, which isn't overly favourable all things considered, we'll be seeing some very strong ones, plenty of instability. That means the risk of large, potentially giant hailstones is going to be there. But again, you can see the forecast not overly aggressive for thunderstorm activity until much later on, and it looks like the temperatures be a little bit cooler by that point in time. It really doesn't look like a grand forecast for severe thunderstorm activity on Monday, but we will again be watching it quite closely. Again, a couple of dry slots in the mid-levels of the environment that could present the risk of some organised thunderstorm activity up around that supercell kind of thresholds, but it is definitely a day to watch. But at this point in time, Monday is one to be taken with a heavy pinch of salt along the North Burnett and the Capricorn coastlines. We may see some strong stuff, but it also may completely fall flat on its face. We may not see any thunderstorms at all. Now, the good news is for Brisbane, whilst that rainfall won't be coming in tomorrow night, it will most certainly be coming in on Tuesday. Lots of showers and rainfall expected to move through on Tuesday, building up Tuesday morning as a low pressure system begins to get itself going here along the Fraser Coast, north of Fraser Island, and this low pressure system will present the risk of some much needed and some moderate to heavy rainfall accumulations through a wide swathe of southeast Queensland. You can see lots of thunderstorms are expected further inland through Tuesday afternoon and evening. A lot of these thunderstorms expected to be high precipitation, very wet thunderstorms indeed, lots of rainfall embedded within them and very tall thunderclouds. This is going to be a little bit more tropical in nature here out around the Rolleston, Emerald, Dingo and Billawheeler area, but then closer towards the coastline we will be looking at that risk of just rainfall coming through, just steady rainfall, no thunderstorms, nothing severe, nothing gnarly embedded within, just nice rainfall that's going to be coming in for these locations starting off at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and it looks like it persists right out to about 5 or 6 o'clock Wednesday morning in a moderate way. Of course, showers beginning to ease off on Tuesday evening and into Tuesday night. They'll be very patchy through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, but we will see these showers fully begin to clear out by Wednesday morning, and you can see a few showers expected to linger around the Wednesday time frame as well, but much needed rainfall accumulations. I'd take the ones a little bit further inland out around the Taroom, Ibsvold, Billawheeler and Rolleston area with a heavy pinch of salt, considering they are thunderstorm based, but closer to the coastline where nothing is kind of anomalous here, you can be looking at rainfall accumulations between the 30 to 60 millimetre mark and potentially even more into some of the mountainous areas adjacent to the coastline outside of the Samford Valley and Caboolture area, and then further north through the Sunshine Coast as far north as Gympie. Isolated rainfall accumulations to 75 millimetres are now most certainly a possibility. Brisbane looking at least 30 millimetres of rainfall, same deal with the Gold Coast, and even into the Gold Coast hinterland, 50 millimetres is a possibility. Put it short, good rainfall is coming through on Tuesday finally, and what you're missing out on this weekend is going to be made up for you with interest, mind you, on Tuesday and into early Wednesday morning. And this is definitely some rainfall that's now very much set in stone on the forecast and something that you can get excited for. No thunderstorms, no nasties embedded within. This is just nice precipitation that's going to be coming through on Tuesday and will really do a good job into soaking up the ground and making that grass green once again, because southeast Queensland looking very dry at this point in time, so it'd be good to see some of this rainfall come through. Again, we may be seeing some really strong thunderstorms on Tuesday, and this by extension moves further up into the coastline as well through North Queensland. Monday and Tuesday will be big storm days, particularly Monday afternoon outside of Charters Towers and Townsville. We'll be seeing some big outback thunderstorms up here, and lots of thunderstorms just expected, generally speaking, further across in towards Western Queensland into the Channel Country as well, and through parts of the Gulf Country north of Mount Isa. Lots of thunderstorms are also possible a little bit further south down through Ogmore and then down towards Rockhampton and inland towards Claremont and Emerald once again on Monday. Like I said, potentially severe thunderstorms in these regions as well. Rockhampton, the sounding isn't looking too bad for some severe thunderstorm potential, and we may be seeing some strong severe thunderstorms at this point in time on Monday afternoon around that. But further up in towards northern Queensland, lots of very tall pulse thunderstorms expected to blow up. So these are your high precipitation stuff. They drop a lot of rainfall very quickly. Generally speaking, slow moving. These thunderstorms aren't going to have much of a destination in mind, moving slowly towards the east, but we will be seeing locations such as Charters Towers, Glendon, Warranbah, even Claremont and a few other of these locations here in the Burdekin River catchment copping a good hit from these thunderstorms here. It looks like Townsville and areas along the North Queensland coastline will dodge these thunderstorms, and even the Atherton Tablelands by extension isn't expecting too much in the way of thunderstorm activity. We'll be seeing some of these thunderstorms making it a little bit further south into the coastal areas south of Mackay, but even Mackay, Bowen, Proserpine and much of the Whitsunday is not looking at a high chance of seeing thunderstorm activity either. Just a very turbulent picture Monday night into Tuesday morning, and thunderstorms again continuing in a pretty dramatic fashion around that centre of that low pressure system that's going to begin to drive that rainfall through southeast Queensland on Tuesday. Lots of stronger thunderstorms and tall thunderclouds expected to blow up in pretty sporadic nature around the Capricorn coastline, and then further inland out towards Ibsvold, Taroom, Injune and Roma, particularly in the early afternoon hours after about midday out to about 1 o'clock. Lots of thunderstorm activity expected out here, and this looks like the pretty intense stuff that we're used to seeing at this time of the year. Very exciting forecast picture, that's for sure, because I'm looking at this and it just screams rainfall to me. I mean, if we have a look at rainfall accumulations from now over the next 7 days, so including the remainder of the month of October, you can see some very healthy rainfall accumulations are on the forecast. And again, considering these thunderstorms are so sporadic and to be honest quite widespread in nature, a lot of these numbers are going to come true. There's going to be more places that cop this rainfall than places that completely miss out, and we might be seeing triple figure rainfall accumulations for locations such as Billawheeler, Ibsvold, even Rockhampton, Dingo, Emerald. Coastal locations are a little bit more of a wild card. We're going to have to wait till Monday to really see what's going to be happening on the forecast there, but Monday night into Tuesday morning, triple figure rainfall accumulations cannot be written off for the Capricorn coastline, with the best chance of those occurring around the Gladstone and the Agnes Water area. It may happen that the Rockhampton Dome is turned on into overdrive on Tuesday morning, because you can see the rainfall accumulations there are substantially less than where they are around the Gladstone and the Agnes Water area. Rainfall accumulations will extend down into the Fraser coastline as well, and as mentioned, good rainfall accumulations are also expected over the next 7 days towards the north of Brisbane. We may be seeing isolated falls around the Brisbane area up around that 75 millimetres, particularly if we can see some thunderstorms come through tomorrow night. We will be seeing these rainfall accumulations begin to encroach on 75 millimetres. It's not enough to really pull them out of the near drought conditions that they're beginning to feel across southeast Queensland, particularly through the Brisbane city and the Gold Coast area, but it will go a long way, and especially considering this rainfall is of the soaking variety, it is very good news indeed, and something to get very excited for at this point in time. I'm not seeing anything crazy for the first week of November in terms of the rainfall signals. We may be looking at another thunderstorm outbreak through parts of southeast Queensland around the 1st and the 2nd of November, and this also looks like it pushes out to the 3rd or the 4th by the looks of things. It's just going to be generally a stormy picture as we head in towards November. We're expecting above average precipitation in the atmosphere, or above average moisture in the atmosphere, which will translate to above average precipitation through much of Queensland into November, particularly the first week and parts of the second week, and then out to about the 4th and the final week of November, we'll be seeing some high precipitation rates across parts of northern Queensland. So again, November is always going to be a month to watch. It's the proper start of the thunderstorm season, and it's also the start of the cyclone season, so we'll be keeping things very much focused over on Queensland as this rainfall and these thunderstorm days do begin to build. But the first week of November, not seeing anything crazy at this point in time, just a general thunderstorm risk in the evening across southeast Queensland and also parts of northern Queensland as well, experiencing showers and some wetter conditions as we move properly into this changeover type period. In terms of other interesting stuff, first week of November not looking like there's anything too crazy. Lots of thunderstorms across the Northern Territory and parts of Western Australia as well. And speaking of Western Australia, those thunderstorms last night, wow, what a show we had across the southeastern parts of WA. Some very significant thunderstorms blew through down there, 35 millimetres at Eucla, and man, it would have been a pleasure to drive the Nullarbor last night. I mean, these thunderstorms were very, very strong indeed, but I mean, just have a look at how they blew up here. This is the same convective structure that we see on supercell thunderstorms. They looked incredibly impressive, and the environment was super favourable for these thunderstorms, but driving the Nullarbor between Kaiguna and then across towards the WA South Australia border, that would have been dramatic last night at around, or yesterday afternoon between 1 and 4 o'clock. That would have been very dramatic indeed. Some of these thunderstorms really did pack a punch, lots of lightning within them, and very, very interesting, that's for sure. Pushed ahead by this weak cold front that moved into the Perth metro area, and my gauge actually picked up a pretty respectable 15 millimetres, but whilst I was driving into the southern suburbs last night around the Mandurah area, there was a lot of rainfall. It basically rained for about 3 hours down there, so very pleasant stuff. Again, at this time of the year, October has been exceedingly wet as well across southwestern WA as we move into one of the biggest grain harvests on record across southwestern WA. Very, very good to see indeed. And in terms of rainfall across southeastern Australia, as we do exit the impact of this SSW event, it looks like Victoria especially is going to see a return to some much needed rainfall accumulations, particularly through parts of the central regions and then into the alpine regions as well. Rainfall accumulations do look pretty good on this map, but keep in mind this is over the next 2 weeks, so these rainfall accumulations are pretty stock standard still, but 50 millimetres into some of the Gippsland regions as well and through the Victorian Alps, they will take it. That is some much needed rainfall indeed. Very healthy stuff to be seeing. And again, with this cold front that's going to be coming through, pushing ahead to some of these thunderstorms, we may see an isolated severe thunderstorm risk through parts of central Victoria through tomorrow afternoon and evening, and again north of Melbourne up through Bendigo, Ballarat, and then up towards Shepparton, and then the New South Wales Victoria border, over the border in towards Wagga Wagga, Griffith and Hay. We may be seeing some severe thunderstorm chances through tomorrow afternoon and evening, so definitely a time to watch. Beyond that though, there's not anything too crazy. We may be seeing some rainfall coming through on Monday with the chances from snowfall above 1,500 metres, and you can see rainfall accumulations are beginning to build as we get towards the first week of November. Again, that Madden-Julian oscillation over section 3 at this point in time, so we're expecting lots of moisture to be sent down into this part of Australia, and as such you can see into towards the end of the first week of November, rainfall does begin to build once again, at least on this forecast modelling. Interesting times, interesting stuff lying ahead as we enter the changeover period across southeastern Australia, and also for eastern Australia and northern Australia. The weather is changing, the seasons are changing as we would expect for this time of the year. It's exciting stuff. Lots of thunderstorms on the forecast. I am very, very busy over the next couple of weeks, that's for sure, and I love it. Could not be happier. If this is your type of content, then please do consider subscribing and leave a like on the video while you're at it. But that is going to do it for me today. I'll be having more coverage on these thunderstorms, and if we do see a dramatic change in the forecast, I'll have a further further detailed update later today, but lots of information coming out on the Facebook page. And again, if thunderstorms do develop in a significant manner around the Brisbane area tomorrow afternoon, I will be running live coverage, particularly if they do get strong or very dangerous. If you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing, leave a like on the video while you're at it, and of course a special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. I could not run the show without them, and as always their support is massively appreciated. But that's going to do it for me today. Have a great Saturday and have a great weekend, and I'll catch you on the next storm.